In this video, I've got 2 awesome tips to help you improve your snow scene paintings. And stay tuned to the end. I'll talk technique and critique on the final painting. Well, hey painters, so how do you get your snow colors and shadows to look a little more enticing, a little more realistic like what you're seeing out there in the landscape? Well, today we're in the world famous ski resort, Telluride, Colorado. We're gonna look at this snow right here behind me in this gorgeous scene right here. All right, hey, so we got the wash on here. I'm going to alternate between time lapse and real-time painting. So stay tuned toward the end for tip number 2. I'll slow the camera down for us. All right, let's go. Tip number 1, here we go. So if we understand how light reflects and absorbs in snow, we can easily plan our paint amazing looking snow. Reflection and absorption. Put your thinking caps on here for a moment with me. So cast shadows in the snow on the horizontal planes facing the sky, like a flat tree shadow in the snow in front of you, for example. So horizontal planes facing the sky, they'll generally be cool and bluish because they take on the color of the light source shining into them, into the shadow. They're not lit by the sun. Of course, they're in shadow, and so, but the ambient light of the sky is what lights them, and the sky is blue. So that's why those shadows are going to take on a very cool bluish purplish nature. So just understanding that is going to be able to help you paint them better. And in deep snow tends to absorb red light and reflect blue tints because light travels into the snow, and the ice crystals in the deeper snow, like a footprint, they scatter it like a filter. And so that's why shadows in footprints or deep snow shadows like trails and ruts appear that bluish purplish color. Understanding this is going to help us to plein air paint snow shadows a lot better. Well, hey, if we haven't met yet, I'm Terry with Learning Plein Air, and this channel is all about plein air demos and tutorials just like this one. So if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. Thanks for your support. Okay, tip number 2, sunlight on the snow. So on a sunny day like today, snow is like a big giant mirror. It's a huge reflector of natural visible light. So that's why, you know, the term snow blindness or snow glare, and it really is true. Like on a day like today, it's almost like you need sunglasses. But so that's why it appears as white, especially fresh fallen snow. But snow is darker than it appears. You need to remember that as a plein air painter. It's darker than it appears, even in the sunlight, because again, it has to do with absorption and reflection. It still does absorb some light as the light travels across the distance of the snow. So sometimes it's a good idea to paint your sunlit snow in a light shade of warm gray. You know how I always mention those gray puddles? Scrape up your wasted paint at the end of a painting session, kind of palette knife it all together into a warm pile and a cool pile, push those aside. Those can be useful with snow colors. And so get a warm gray and mix it in with your violet, and that can help you here. And then you can go ahead and use your yellows and titanium white for your power strokes of the highlights from the sun on the snow. The sun, you know, the snow highlights. But be careful, titanium white is one of the coolest colors on your palette, so don't just make your sunlit snow mostly or all titanium white. Well, hey, do you want to get on my email list? If so, I've got a link in the description below. I've got actually 2 free videos you can click on and get. But by putting in your email, that'll get you access to my monthly newsletter where I send out tips and techniques for plein air painting. Go ahead and do it. Link in the description. Thanks. Well, I'm not done yet. I got a decision to make. I got to pick up my girls for volleyball practice soon, so I got to get out of here. So do I finish in a rush and a flurry and get it done, or do I do some strokes at home in the studio the next day? But here's a quick little buzz around of what I've been doing. Mostly I've been talking to people, but anyway, here's a few close-up strokes for you. We're going to get into the critique section next, so stay tuned for that. I've got a couple important thoughts for you, so stay tuned for that. Well, all right, here we are the next day, bringing the painting out just to see what worked and what didn't work. And, you know, for a snow scene painting and how to paint snow, I probably should have brought you up in the mountains in a nice snowy meadow with some evergreen shadows like I usually do. But it's spring break here in Colorado, and I'm in and around these mountains and this ski resort quite a bit, but I needed to be visible around a lot of people to kind of meet people, say hello, and try to sell my paintings, quite frankly. It's a great location where I was standing to sell. I gave out a lot of cards, had a lot of interested people, but not a great location to focus on a painting. And I was really distracted, and I'm a little I'm a little frustrated with this painting. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. You know, it's a great scene, but it can get really overwhelming. And when you're talking to people, I just couldn't focus. I think I do not like, if you look at this part right here, this section of the painting, I just don't like it. It doesn't read right. I think maybe just done too quickly, too impressionistically, and not paying attention to the values right there. The steeple is nice, but my proportions are off a little bit. Sometimes what I like to do is make things a little more grandiose than they actually are, bigger than they actually are, to bring that focal point out so that you can, you know, kind of say something about it. But, you know, I did spend a lot of time on that, and of course on the snow. And we put these little kids at the end, very end of the painting. I saw these kids coming down. Just put that in just like, I don't know, what, 15 seconds, you know, just a quick impressionistic, and snowboarder here, skier. But I think you get the basic points. You know, although the painting isn't my favorite, the information is good about the snow. It's not always just white and blue. You got to have different values in there. You got to have different temperatures in and throughout the snow. You know, some shadows are going to be like that, a little bit richer and darker and deeper. Some of the shadows are going to be grayed down a bit with some orange or some gray. And then I did put those deep footprint shadows in that I was talking to you about just a minute or two ago, where the red light gets reflected out of that deep snow, and that's why they appear violet and purple and blue like that. So I put those in just to add another dimension to the shadows in this painting. But you know, the mountain light on the snow back there was done very, very quickly. It was pretty much all in light, all this snow up here, not a lot of shadow. And I just went really, really quickly. You know, like I said, I think I'd like to go back and do this sometime when I don't have to film and when there weren't so many people. But all in all, it is what it is. It was super, super fun. Gorgeous day, gorgeous scene. And now it's on to the next painting. All right, I did too much talking and not enough painting, but if you enjoyed that video and you are interested in this painting, it is for sale. The next logical video for you to watch is going to be how to paint a winter landscape. It was done on a cloudy day, overcast, so a little bit different techniques and tips in there. And so I'll put that right up here. Click on there next, and I'll see you over in that video right next. All right, thanks. God bless. See you up in the mountains.